Hey, welcome back to Dutch Shed Builds. My name is Jerome, and today is going to be the last episode on the GL500 build. And I'm just going to do a small intro because we have a lot to cover. It's going to be a pretty long video, but we'll finish at the end. Please stay at the end because it's going to be some pretty cool stuff at the end of the video. So stick around if you can. Okay, there he goes. Yeah, so in the last videos we covered a lot. Built up a new tank, blew it up, rebuilt the bike, got the bike, stripped the bike, did several parts already, refurbishing that, and I'm going to continue on the last pieces, which is going to be finding a new tank for the bike, of course, because the other one is just, well, I blew it up. The wheels need to be done, the tires, lots of stuff. I'm not going to get into it. I'm just going to show it to you. I think the end result is pretty nice. And in this video, you will see that I'll be chasing a couple of ghosts. Enjoy the video. Subscribe if you haven't already. And yeah, you know what to do. You can also find me on Instagram, Patreon. And I think I'll be posting a few smaller videos on Patreon pretty soon. So stay tuned for that. All right, let's go into the video. Enjoy watching and thanks for watching. See you at the end. So I've kind of been working on my own without the camera. I really need to pick up some speed. So I kind of left the filming for what it was. And as you can see, I came a long way. I was able to get the engine back in, which was really a struggle. For some reason, it didn't fit anymore. After a lot of struggling and trying again, it took me 2 hours to get it back in, which is crazy. But for some reason, it wouldn't align up on this eye over here, and actually I still have a bit of a difficulty getting the thermostat cap off because I think it's a bit too high for some reason. I really don't know why. But anyway, I got it in. I got the exhaust mounted, the rear brake, the lever is in, all the wiring is back in. Most of it's been connected already. I've got a battery in, the starter is connected. What else? The air filter is in. New plugs are in here. I just need to finish up a few things, and that's what I'm going to do right now. This cooling pipe over here for the water, I've got new seals for that. And as you can see, the pipe, now I'll show you a clip of what it used to look like. And now it looks like this. So it's really improved. And it's going to come over here and get that connected. And as soon as that is connected, then the entire cooling system is closed up again. So I could basically fill it. The other thing I haven't done yet is actually drain the oil. So I'm going to drain the oil as well while I'm doing that, and kind of start ticking away at small jobs like this dash, of course, which needs to be filled with these lights of clocks or gauges, this mess. And I tried to keep everything nice and tidy, but I actually ended up losing nuts and bolts again. I don't know how I do that. But
yeah. Are you a complete moron?
But small odd jobs, I just keep ticking away at it. I still got quite a bit to do actually. The side panels are nearly done. The seat is done. The mudguards are still a lot of work. And I'm waiting on new grips and other few small pieces. So yeah, still a lot of things to do, but I've come a long way from where it came. Looked pretty good actually. But just taking away at small jobs. Not quite there yet. Pretty black, but that's not bad. This has been in there quite a while. So I'll let that drain. There's a copper ring there as well. You can't really see it, but it's there. I need to replace that. And then we're going to take this off. But first, let's drain. Put on the pipe over here. So it goes over here, along this, and then around the back into that little hole. And the other thing I got were these tiny screws for these plates, because the ones that came from it, they were like really rusty, and I want to make it look nice. So I've got some brand new screws, so we're going to screw that in right over here. So let's put this thing back together. Now I do not have a new O-ring for this. I'm just going to see if this doesn't leak. If not, then I still have to buy one. And the correct assembly there's a new O-ring on this. I did have one. Is this thing in here, like so. Then you put the washer, the spring, and then the washer. Now this isn't the original one, but it fits perfectly and it'll do the job. And then the brand new filter goes on. And it's kind of hard to do with one hand. And I'll just find the thread. There it goes.
Just go easy, of course. No.
Suck it. That's it. No tighter than that. Alright, they're finished. I think that has improved massively. Alright, so we're closing in here. Next up are the handlebars. Now I'm going to use these again. I'm going to use that one again. I'm going to get rid of this grip because this one was completely gone. And I got these ones. I think they suit the bike really nice. You can get these in different colors. I like the silver, so it matches with the engine a bit and it's not all black. They look pretty nice. And I ended up just getting one of these simple brake calipers. It's going to sit over here. They work really good. They're not expensive. They cost just as much as getting a replacement plunger for this thing, and then you still have to do the entire unit. So I went for this. I've got it on my GS over there as well. I did it on another Honda and they work really good. So we're going to use that. Yeah, let's put that on and then go from there. It's been a while. I've cleaned out the tank. I drained it again. The bike was not getting any fuel for some reason. I think it was the fuel tap, and I'm finding it hard to find a new replacement tap because the thread is really thin. But anyway, I took it out. Parts are on the way, but now I can focus on getting this tank in the proper color again. Which means that this lovely paint job, which obviously it's kind of cracked here, but yeah, I'm sorry for whoever made it, but it's got to go. It's just really ugly on the bike. The blue and the orange, just terrible, and this is not everybody's liking. So if you've made it, I'm really sorry. You did a really good job, but it's got to go for my bike. So I'm going to use some paint stripper to get the first coats off, get it nice and sanded, get a nice layer to build the candy gold back up. And then we're back where I started a couple of weeks ago. Let's get that done. Alright, so the tank is now completely stripped of paint, and I used one of these discs. They are great. They are great for this work. So it's all cleaned. There's no dents in it, nowhere. So this is the best tank I've ever had, basically. Just gonna degrease it and then put the primer on. So this one, the primer, big filler, give that a clean off, get the silver on, and then get the candy gold. Then I'm gonna let it rest for like a really long time. And then I'll apply this 2K clear wax thingy, and then we should be back to where we started. But this looks good. Alright, we're working on the tank. A couple of coats of paint, sanding it down with fine grit paper, 1200, 2000. And now I'm ready for the, well, not the final coat, but at least the color coat, the candy gold back again. After that's done, I'll do a couple of coats, and then I'm going to leave the tank for at least a week, so all the vapors can get out of the paint before I do the clear coat. So let's get this on. Hope I don't get any spots or anything. So far so good. So with the first coat of paint, I always use a thin layer, just laying it down, not too thick, and it just helps to kind of get the second coat to really stick. So just paint this on and just wait for a couple of minutes. Coat number 2. So with coat number 2, I'll apply a lot more paint and make a really thick layer. Now with this can, it kind of tends to juice droplets at some points, but I got away with this this time. But just apply a lot of paint and do it a third time over, and then you should end up with a pretty good result. And this is the final result of both of the tanks. One on the left, the one I blew up, the one on the right, the one I just painted after clear coat, of course. And I've got two beautiful painted tanks, only one is just a bit more deformed than the other one. Anyway, let's continue and see if I can get the stencil back on. This one, the old one, has got pre-formed parts and this one didn't. So I transferred it using this tape, and then I could actually see where I need to place the Honda label, which actually painted really nice and made it black. And how cool is that? And the 3 dots helped to place the label perfectly. So I'm using a 2-component, what you call it, glue. All right, fun. So I've been sanding this for a while now. I did some sandblaster on the inside. It cleared it up a bit, but after sanding quite a lot, I still cannot get a nice finish. And I wasn't thinking that would. As you can see, there are still a whole lot of scratches on this thing. So it's going to take a lot of sanding to get to some sort of a finish. But my intention wasn't to do that, so I'm going to stop here. I've degreased it, and I'm going to get a good coat of filler primer on this and sand it down and make it nice and smooth, and then give it a nice finish. So the primer is on, I've sanded it down again, it's nice and smooth. And now I'm going to put on the base coat for the final paint. So all in all, this took me at least 2 days to let the paint dry and do new coats and stuff like that, but they are looking pretty sharp, and it was a good decision, I think. But there's more to do. The tires, of course, were completely shot on the bike, so I had to replace those, of course. And the rim of the bike is pretty rough as well. This is the rear rim with a new tire, and I still hadn't done this very often, so it took me a bit more time at this point than it does take me now, but I guess practice makes perfect, and I'm not a heavy guy, so if you're a bit heavier this is easier. But anyway, it's all about technique, getting some proper air in the tire, waiting for the beat to hear those 2 pops going, and then you know the tire's set. So doing this rim is a technique with a hammer. I've done a video of this, I think. You just use some masking tape and use a hammer to really get that edge in. And yeah, I could have done this maybe without the wheel on, but this is where I was at, and I worked with it. Now this spray can is with special rim paint. I don't know what it actually differs from other paints. It's a bit more expensive, but it looked pretty damn good. Look at that thing shine. Such a difference when you see it in real life. And after it dried for a couple of days, I think the result is there. That is so much nicer. I also did the inner workings of this rim, and it looks brand new. Really happy with the result. So I'm in doubt whether I should keep this color. This is actually the base color for the candy gold, and I left it like this because I think maybe the candy gold is a bit too much. So we'll just offer this to the bike, see what it looks like. If it doesn't look any good, I can always pre-spray this. Especially this came out really nice. Yeah, I know what you're gonna say. The dot should be on the other side of the valve, and you're correct, actually. And later on, I actually changed this. One front wheel ready for paint. All sanded, lightly sanded, degreased, and taped up.
3 days later.
So time to balance these wheels. First the front one and then the other one. So a tool like this is really handy. You can move these cone shaped thingies up and down to for every wheel you've got, and then just find out where the center spot is, where it goes to, and then start putting on the weights. As you can see, it's already dropping down. It's probably going over here. That's the heaviest point. So I need to put something right across it to counter that effect. And I'm going to try and put weights on both sides of the wheel. So 5 grams on each side. So there they are. And these are black, so you can't see them in this wheel. That's really nice. The wheel's balanced. As you can see, it's right where it needs to be. So I'm going to take off this one and then swap the discs over and then put it back. So I'm going to pour in some coolant back in the bike to see if it has any leaks, and of course that also applies to the oil. The O-ring, 2 O-rings for this thing. I didn't replace it, but I got it in the end. I think this O-ring will be fine, but so there's an O-ring here and there's one just over there underneath the ring. I'm going to replace it just for good measure. So pouring in some standard 10 WD-40 oil, getting the bike ready to crank up again, and yeah, let's continue working on it. And there's still quite a lot to do.
2,000 years later.
So I'm deep in the GL500 rebuild restoration thing. So these are the mudguards or fenders from the GL500. And as you can see, they are in very bad shape. The chrome is completely gone. Same with the rear fender or mudguard. It's just the same. There's a lot of rust, and I'm doubting what I should do. So in the end, I decided to replace the front mudguard. I had a better option for that in my stockpile, but this part I was gonna try and see if I can salvage this, even though it looked like this really bad. But let's get started. I'm gonna use my little sandblaster cabinet, and let's see if we can get this nice. All right, new lights, new grid. Let's have a look.
Eventually.
It still needs quite a bit of work, but it's a lot better than it was. But it's really hurt hard by the crust, so I've got to take off all the chrome. even more than I've done now. At least I've done the inside, which is really hard to get to. Worked pretty well, I think, all considering. So carry on, I guess. More with the old grinder. That's starting to look up a lot better, but it does have a very bad piece here. So this is the mudguard, and as you can see, there's a big hole here. This is all rust, which is a shame. This is the back end, and this is completely rotted through. I think I'm going to try. I can always throw this away. It's going to be a cool experiment. Get a piece of metal and try and weld that in there, and then with body filler and stuff, try and get it nice. I could put body filler on this, but it's going to come out in no time because this is all rust. So I need to take out quite a big chunk, I think. But tomorrow I'm going to take out a piece and maybe get a... I've got some steel here, but it's not really thick. Not thick as me. So this is the rear mudguard or fender, and I've welded in a plate. My plan was to do 2 plates, so that's why you see 2 rows. So I was going to do, I welded in the one at the back first, and then we're going to add this plate to the top. But it was going to get too high, and actually so I decided to fill it up with all these spots. I'm going to clean it up now, and then just make it nice and smooth with body filler. Just thinking use some anyway. It's still pretty hot, and then give it a nice paint job. So that's the plan. The only thing is I do not have a good tool to get this all nice and clean. I only have a grinder, so I'll do my best to clean this up, but hell, it's in. I think this is gonna work, and just to show you again, this is what came out like this. So this piece of rust, and now we are here. All right, let's clean this up. Okay, after some grinding, this is what it looks like now, and that we can fix. Now the inside is not very nice, I have to admit, but I do not have the tool to get that out really nice, so I'm just going to leave that. Give it a paint job, and then no one's going to see that. It's going to be at the back of the bike, like so. So I think no one's going to see it. So I'm just about to paint the, what is it, rear light holder thing. I think I'm going to go for the candy gold as well. And I've done the front light bucket as well. It was just not looking good. It's going to be all rusty and crappy. So I primed it. I'm just going to paint that black. And the mudguard fender, or whatever you want to say, it's just over here. I just put on the Bondo, or whatever you want to call it. Letting it dry and try and get it smooth. I think I'm going to go with the candy gold there as well. I've got the cans left. I don't think I'm going to use it for anything else, so I might as well use them. They're pretty expensive, or pretty expensive, that's overrated, but for this project it's a big part of the build cost, so might as well use it. Yeah, so that's what I'm going to do right now. So I sanded down the Bondo and it came out like this. The rust you see right there is because I used water as well, and it kind of rusted out again, so I removed that later on. But it came out pretty smooth actually, and was not looking too bad. So after that I gave it a pretty thick coat of filler primer, which you can see here. It's still a bit rough, there's still a bit of edges you can see, but I'm going to smooth it out. More sanding, and then it came out like this. That came out a lot better, and I kept doing this a couple of times even after this, just finer and finer grit, just making it as smooth as I can be. This is going to be it. I can keep going forever, but consider where it came from, I'm happy with it, and I have decided to use the silver and the candy gold, so it's going to be all gold, this one. So this silver coat is the base coat, which makes the candy gold really pop up. And did it pop up? Well, judge yourself. I think it really did. Looks really nice. and in the back you can see the other part also drying. Pretty cool. So I think this came out pretty good. Don't know if you can remember it, but it's looking a lot better. It's a bit smudged already, but hope the paint holds out. It's got a couple of layers of primer, a couple of layers of black, and a couple of layers of clear coat. So we'll see how it holds up, but I'm getting there bit by bit, and this is the back end. It's looking really nice as well. What a difference compared to the way it was. There's a lot of work. And the rear is nearly done as well. Just putting on a few coats of clear. Now it's not perfect by any means, but if you compare it to how it was, it's a big improvement. So I'm gonna tidy this up, and I'm calling quits for tonight. That's looking really good. Pretty chuffed with it. It's coming together. So getting the wires through this rear light was pretty tricky. It took me quite a while to get it done, but I think the end result is there, and it's just a major transformation. Now another thing in this video is that I've been chasing two ghosts, and these ghosts were something to do with the drive shaft and something to do with a very special light. Now let's go to the drive shaft first and then do that light, and it's something in the end is really funny, but it freaked me out at the moment. So let's dive into that. Yeah, it's back again. So the drive shaft, you could hear the sound clear, right? It was really making a lot of noise, and I thought I could feel something when I did a test drive on the bike. Now, the thing is, what I found out after removing the drive shaft many times, that period, I took out the rear wheel, took out the swing arm, I tried so many things trying to figure out what was going on. At some point I thought it was in the engine. It really wasn't in the engine. It was nowhere, because what happens when you push the bike up or on the center stand and there's no load on the rear wheel, the drive shaft will actually kind of be not in the right position, or be kind of, it's just like flopping around a bit. It's just normal. That happens probably at the joint somewhere, and as soon as you put the bike down, that goes away. Now you may wonder, what were you feeling during riding? Well, actually the tire that was on the rim at that point, one of the beads actually didn't really pop properly. I didn't notice that until later. So you can see the wheel turning, and it seems to be flopping, but isn't. It's actually the tire that just isn't completely inflated, I guess is the correct word, even though the pressure was okay. But somehow it just wouldn't get into the correct position. So that was the whole drive shaft issue. Now, mind you, figuring this out, finding this out, and checking everything, it took me days. So that was the first ghost I was chasing.
Alright, so I've done a shakedown, and there's a few things that are annoying. One, the brakes are shitty. The engine sounds really good, but when I get over near 100k, the light comes on. And this thing was weeping oil, so I'm not really sure what's going on. 80, everything's fine. Engine pulls good. Can't feel a thing. Don't hear anything. Anything strange at least. She rides. I really don't know why this thing is so spongy. Alright, bit of headwind. 80, cruising. Watch it, there he goes. Go over 80. Should I drop the engine? It's fine.
Alright, so after this test drive you could see the light go on. It was actually at 90 kilometers when that light turned on. Now that should have been a hint for me. It was exactly at a certain point. But I was freaking out at that point with the drive shaft, with the wheel, with just things not really going on, and there was a little oil leak as well, which in the end just was a seal, which I replaced later on. So nothing to worry. The seal on the cylinder head cover, it's got a seal in the middle as well, and I didn't replace that at that point, and you should. So after you do that, there's like a little weep hole, so oil that comes from the valves that escapes, and it shouldn't, but if it does, if the seal's not good, it drips down along the shaft of where the spark plugs sit, and there's a little weep hole, and that's actually where you see the oil coming out onto the engine case. So just a little round seal, replaced it, problem gone. But at that point I didn't know that yet. I was freaking out. But what about the light? Well, if you look at this picture, this is a picture of the actual gauge, and there's something in which I would think is Japanese. Now I don't know what it said, but I thought it was an oil warning thing or a heat problem. So if you have a heat problem, something's red. That's what I've been told always. If there's a red light, stop. Except in Amsterdam that's different. But so I thought red means stop. But at some point I thought, what does it actually say? So I took a picture of those Japanese signs, cut them out digitally then, and placed it into an AI bot and said to it, what does this say? And it said it's a 90 kilometer warning. So it's something that they have in Japan. When you go over 90 kilometers at that time, I don't know if you still have it, there's actually a warning light that tells you you're actually going over 90, which you shouldn't be doing. So that's the only thing that light's doing. So I chased that light for a lot of things. I changed oil, I googled all sorts of shit, and this was the problem. So actually not a problem, actually a pretty good thing. And it makes these gauges actually pretty rare. I think there are not many of those around, but I'm not really sure. Anyway, those were my two goes. And you can hear me talking about the brakes as well. And that was because one of the brake pads, because the brakes were perfectly clean, I completely redid those. I had them sandblasted, blinks wet blasting, and I'm going to put a video on that, on rebuilding those calipers, front calipers, on my Patreon page pretty soon. But yeah, one of the brake pads actually got caught somewhere, and that's why not both brakes were grabbing the brake disc, and that's why the braking was so crappy. As soon as I fixed that, bike stopped on a dime. So those were the three things I chased for quite a long time.
Yeah.
Right, bike's done. All I need to fix is this piece, which came from Norway. This is the original. like so. If this is a perfect fit. That's where you go. Oh, sorry. That's great. Cool. I'll just get the fingers out of the light. How cool is that? Yep, I actually was able to completely mess it up. That is the actual thing you saw, the cover in the video, and I did some what is acetone smoothing with it my first time. Well, clearly it failed.
What the f?
Luckily, KIHestad, he was very kind enough to send me a couple of more pieces. One of them ended up on my dad's bike, which is the GL500 you just watched. So thanks for that, and I'll post this video at some point. Okay, let's give this puppy a ride. Now the bike still doesn't run perfect. It kind of stutters and it's hard to start, but maybe we'll run that out. So the front brake, I thought I didn't fix it properly, but I did. But one of these pads is over there. It was stuck underneath, so it was kind of wedged, so it couldn't move. That's why the brakes wouldn't work. So this bike, I've been chasing ghosts a lot with it. Alright. Oh, that's a cool Beetle coming up. Look at that. Convertible. Nice. Alrighty. It's just really good. Pulls good. Gauges seem to be working okay. And when I hit 90, you're gonna see that light come up. That freaked me out the other time. Here we go. There it is. Oh, it feels really good. Yeah, so much better. That is really nice. And now that I've got some good front brakes, I'm actually a bit more confident with the bike. Turn around. What a lovely, lovely day. Simply lovely, Max Verstappen would say. Look at the field, it's very nice. But this is a great, great bike for riding like this. Really comfortable. Now you can't be a big guy on this, it's a very small bike. Very nice.
So I'm really happy to have this bike up and running again. I may just add a baggage piece to it, I'm not really sure. I got this bike to make some money and to learn again, and I did. So mission accomplished, I would say. Alright, that's it. Mission accomplished. Alright, in the end my dad actually bought the bike and did the Distinguished Gentleman's Ride with it. So I borrowed my Honda to someone else, and here's my dad on the GL500 riding the Distinguished Gentleman's Ride. So as you can see, my other Honda is just right in front of us, just on the right there. That's my good friend and colleague Marcel, who I gave my bike to, and that's why I'm on a very big BMW GS from somebody else. But anyway, this bike came out beautifully. I'm very proud of the result. I think it's really cool my dad bought it, and it was a really nice build. Thanks for watching.